And today we're going through Life Lessons 101. If you are brand new to the page, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, we actually have a podcast called Keto Mom Secrets. So wherever you're tuning in from or listening from, I would love to know where you're tuning in from. So I live in Minnesota with my amazing husband. We have 4 daughters. They are 15, 13, 11, and 9. We are fully into the preteen, teenager fun, and I actually am loving it. I honestly love the season and the phase that we're in. Now, if you're brand new to the Keto Mom page, this page has been around for 7.5 years. There's recipes that have been shared for 7.5 years. There's no shortage of keto tips and tricks and ideas and how-tos and how to get started and intermittent fasting and working out and all of the things that you need to know about keto you can have from this page. You can watch lives every single day. You can send me a message and I would love to help. You can listen to the podcast if you're driving to work. I like to call that Drive Time University as you're learning. And what I'm working towards is also helping people realize that this is not just about keto and food and recipes. So years ago when I started this page, honestly, I was like, I'm just going to share recipes. I'm going to work on eating healthier, helping my husband lose some weight. And what I've realized is there's so much more to fat loss than what you might think. Most people think, I need recipes. I need you to tell me exactly what to eat. I mean, the amount of people that message me on a daily basis that go, can you just give me a meal plan? And I say, no, I actually can't just give you a meal plan because there's no one size fits all. When somebody says they can sell you a 30-day keto meal plan, it works for everybody, they're wrong. And what I want you to realize is you didn't get here overnight. You're not going to get there overnight. This is not just about food, but there's legitimately some things you need to learn and have awareness around that helps you on your journey to better. So as you are dreaming and setting new goals and going after new visions and you want to hit that target in 2023, there are some things I feel like that are super important. If you watched my live yesterday, I talked on Keto Mom on Facebook. It was Keto Mom Secrets on Instagram or YouTube, wherever you're watching and listening from. We talked about the word awareness. So that was life lesson number 1. If you want to watch it, go back, scroll back through any of the pages, go watch it. It's labeled Life Lesson Awareness. I also did a live last night. If you're legitimately listening to this some random time, it is on December 27th, 2022. And I legitimately laid out how to get started. We talked about food, water intake, mindset, moving your body, intermittent fasting. We talked about things that you just need to know if that's your goal. If you're like, I just want to lose weight. Awesome. Go watch last night's live. I'll do another one sometime either today or tomorrow. Very much the basic same thing of like, if you need some food ideas, I say this on here all the time. If you need help with food and just getting started, post food in the comments. If you want to know more about intermittent fasting, which is going to be one of the main things we talk about throughout this entire year, post fasting in the comments. We have a brand new fasting kit that we're working through that I am doing currently right now. Intermittent fasting, Monday through Friday, drinking ketones every single day, working on my food and going to the CrossFit gym and making sure I'm drinking plenty of water and being mindful of what I'm eating and having awareness of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I talked all about that in the last live. And so today I really want to hone in on one conversation, and it's about EQ. I would love to know, do any of you, as you're listening or watching, do you have any idea what EQ stands for? I'm going to tell you something. This is one of the most valuable lessons. It was something that I learned that legitimately just the awareness of these 2 letters, EQ, changed my life probably 7 years ago, forever. The way I react, the way I respond, how I collect facts. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it. I'm saying it changed the way I had perspective on life for the rest of my life. I think hands down, this is one of the most important and yet simple conversations that people don't even realize is a thing. But when you realize it, it will change your life. And you do not need it. I don't want you to keep this for yourself. This is something you teach your spouse, your children, anybody around you. This should be in everybody's conversation. This should be a class taught in school. I hands down believe that between awareness and EQ, we would have a lot nicer people. You would be a nicer person. I'm not saying that you're mean. I became I feel like a better person. All right. How many of you know what EQ stands for? I'm going to give you 0.3 seconds to answer in the comments. I'm going to tell you what it is. And I already know what people are going to ask me. They're going to go, Stephanie, what book should I be reading to teach me about EQ? I had one conversation, one life lesson, one kind of humiliating lesson that taught me everything that I need to know about this. Is there a book about EQ? 100%. Do you want to know what it stands for? Emotional quotient, your emotional quotient. So some of you might be going, I've heard something, IQ, right? All of you probably know what IQ stands for, right? Your intelligence. We can take a test. It tells us our IQ. It tells us if we're super smart or not. Is that relatable? I don't know. But you have your IQ, which is your intelligence quotient. You have your EQ, which is your emotional quotient. You have your AQ, which stands for adaptability. Some people say there's an SQ, how spiritual you are and understand those things. We're talking about EQ today. If you know of somebody who you're like, my sister needs to hear about this. Or, my best friend should know how to handle her EQ. After we're done, you should tag them below and go, hey, I think this would be very applicable to you in a very nice way. All right, let me take you back 7 years ago. I got super irritated with a situation, and I decided to send a text message to our CEO of our company. I sent a text message, and I was frustrated, right? I was frustrated with a situation. How many of you have been frustrated in your life? I was. And instead of taking some time, instead of breathing through it, instead of collecting the facts, instead of realizing that I don't have to respond in a simple manner, I reacted out of anger. So I typed up a text message. Maybe some of you have done this before without thinking, and I sent the message because I was mad. And in like 3 seconds, my phone started ringing, and I was like, I should not have sent the message. I know I turned beet red. I was so frustrated that I sent it, and yet I was still frustrated about the situation. And my CEO, who was our very good friend, was calling me. And I was like, I was standing in our bedroom. I had the phone. My husband was on the other side of the bed, and I chucked the phone across the room. And I said, I'm not going to answer this. I'm not going to answer it. And my husband threw the phone back to me. And he's like, you have to answer it. You sent the text message. And I'm like, I'm not answering the phone. I'm not doing it. I already knew. I felt like I was in trouble. I felt like the principal was calling me. I felt like my dad was calling me. I felt like whoever I didn't want to talk to, right? Because I knew I ran my mouth. I did it out of anger. And so I was not about to have that conversation. So we played hot potato with the phone. I'm not kidding. I feel like it was like 5 minutes. Probably he threw the phone at me 3 or 4 times before I went like this. Hello? And I was so scared what he was going to say to me because I did not have a very high level of EQ. And so I answered the phone, and our great friend, our CEO, Brian, said, hey, Stephanie, how are you doing? And I was like, not good. Right? And he's like, hey, are you okay to have a conversation right now? And I was like, yes. And that was a conversation for about an hour on emotional intelligence, on emotional quotient, on how I handle my emotions. And I should be collecting the facts. So here's what I want you to understand. This is a real conversation. How many of you feel like you or somebody in your home, maybe somebody you work with, acts out of emotions? We all do, right? We all have emotions. Here's a couple things that when you have the awareness, just so you know, our friend Tony, every time because we've learned a lot of stuff in the last 7 years. We have been blessed to have incredible mentors. We're an incredible community. We've got great accountability. We read, we understand self-development. So I learn a ton, and I like to teach it. Because the way I get things in me and the way that I feel like I understand it and actually utilize it is me teaching it. And so when I learn something new, I love to share it with our friends. And our friend Tony sometimes goes like this, don't tell me. Because when I know, and then I am responsible for it. Don't tell me. Well, so listen, if you're watching or you're listening, you're going to be responsible for what I'm going to tell you. And I promise you, if you actually think about it and you put it into your life practice, it will change your life. So the conversation I had basically went like this. He said, Stephanie, I need you to have the awareness. We talked about this yesterday. There's something called EQ. And the way that you respond or react to life situations and things that come at you and things that are happening all around you is so important. And it's going to shift the way that you do life. It's going to really help you or it's going to hurt you. So, for example, let's say that you get super frustrated in the morning with your children, right? And something's not going your way, whether right or wrong, whether they're doing something like disobeying or you're crabby, you get to choose to handle it with your emotional quotient. So let's say my kids spilled milk, right, on my floor. I'm getting ready to leave. I'm super frustrated. In my head, I'm like, oh, that's going to stink. I don't have time to clean it up. And yet in my head, I just said, all right, Stephanie, handle your EQ. Do I need to react or respond? So here's the first thing you need to know when you're working on EQ. I'm either going to react or respond. Those two words are very important. I can react and I can yell and I can lose it and I can freak out and I can be so frustrated because now the house is going to smell like sour milk. Or I can go like this. I don't have to react to this. It was an accident. Like in your head, you can have a 5-second conversation. Is this making sense? Reacting and responding. And I can think for 2 seconds. I can respond in a manner that's not going to frustrate me even more and not going to frustrate my child, realizing it was an accident. I have an awareness of like, sure, maybe she was messing around, but I can respond in a manner of, I don't have to freak out on you. I'm going to learn to control my EQ. There are words like respond, react, and then and Brian said to me, Stephanie, I need you to work on collecting the facts. So I could ask my daughter, hey, were you messing around? Hey, was this an accident? Were you running around chasing your sister? Like, what happened? Most of the time, you can defuse a situation. You can handle a situation with ease. You can handle things better if you simply just take a breather. You go, I'm going to respond and I'm going to collect the facts and I'm going to ask some questions. I'm not saying that it even was an accident. Even if she was messing around, I've given myself a couple seconds to go, hey, I actually need you to help me clean that up. Hey, do you realize that because you were messing around, it caused the milk to spill? Now we're going to be late because we have to clean this up. Does that make sense? I want you to understand what just happened. I'm not mad, right? And actually, when I learned this lesson and when my husband and I learned this lesson, we started using this verbiage in our family. So when one of our girls was going to throw a fit, I would go, ho, yo, I need you to handle your EQ. We'll use this like, oh, EQ. All of our girls will know, like, if somebody's going to blow up or lose it or freak out or get frustrated, we will say EQ. And it makes all of us go, are we going to react or respond? That's honestly, so Brian walked me through this. He goes, are you reacting towards a situation in your business? Do you want to collect the facts and we can have a response? We can have a conversation about it. So over that hour, I learned 4 things. I learned what EQ actually was. Now you all know. You can't unknow this. You have an EQ. I learned 2 words. I'm going to react or respond. So all I had to do was I can react out of anger. It's going to make everything worse. Or I can respond in an appropriate time. Just because something happens to you doesn't mean that you need to send a text message right away. You don't need to make a phone call. You don't even need to say anything, right? We're in this like, I need to act. And I'm guilty of this often. If somebody messages me or I get frustrated about something, I want to fix it right now. And yet we can actually take some time and think about it. Like, it's okay to tell your kids, you know what? I actually don't know how I want to respond to this. I actually don't know maybe the repercussions of your decision. I don't know what I want to do about this. Give me a little bit of time to think about it and I'll come back and I will respond to you when I'm ready. That's completely fine. You can even do that at your job. You can do that with your friends. You can do that with most situations that are not on a time crunch. So I learned EQ, that was even a thing. I learned I can react or respond. And then I learned one more key phrase, and all I heard him say was collect the facts. So in that response time, when I'm learning how, like, what happened, how do I want to respond, what needs to be said, what action needs to be taken, he said, collect the facts. And so I do that. You get really good at asking questions. You ask yourself questions like, is this really serious? Is this a big deal? Am I overreacting? That's all I needed to hear. That couple words and phrases honestly changed our whole family to give each other more grace, to give myself grace, to give people in our business grace, uh, to handle situation. And again, please hear me. There are times where I will lose it, and then I have to go back and apologize or fix the situation. My husband says I'm not great at apologizing, and I'm working at it because I always say, I don't have to apologize if I'm right. I'm teasing. My husband's shaking his head. I'm like, I can't help it that I'm right most of the time. Uh, says every wife, right? Okay. But in reality, does this EQ conversation make sense? This is very much a very practical life lesson. 101 of, like, first we have the understanding of awareness. We have the understanding of EQ. We all have emotions and we get to learn how to handle them. Now I'm going to say one more thing about this EQ conversation and then I'm going to let you go. First of all, I'd love for you to press the share button. Sharing is caring. If you know and, like, have an awareness of this conversation, if you're like, hey, this has really helped me, here's some information I understand about EQ, here's what I know about this conversation, please share in the comments. Like, has this helped you? Is this something that you do in your family? Maybe I should ask you this question. Are you more of a person that reacts or responds? You could share that below. And I tell you all of this because you might be going, for those of you who love to ask me in private messages, why do you talk about anything other than food and keto? I get messages like that. I don't understand. I don't want to hear about it. And I'm like, you don't have to watch. Stop reacting to me. You can respond with a don't watch me. But this applies and affects your fat loss and your health. Why? Because when we're emotional, what happens? I react and grab the donut, or I can respond and take a breather and go for a walk. When I'm emotional and sad, how many of you eat out of emotions? You guys, it is probably the number one reason why people eat, because they're sad, they're angry, they're mad, they're frustrated, or they're happy and they're celebrating and they're excited. And we go to what? What do we go to? Food. We use food as a reward, as a comfort, as a frustration tool, as a friend. And so I say it often, we overeat. We overeat because we're bored or we're emotional or we're happy. And I'm not saying you can't use food as a reward. Like, it's great to celebrate with people. It's great to get together. It's fun to go out with friends. But when you're constantly running out of emotions and your number one way is reacting, and when you react, you turn to food, therefore that causes you to what? Gain weight. So if all of a sudden you can go, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to have higher EQ. I need to learn how to respond instead of react. I need to not quickly turn into the drive-through, but go, you know what? I might be frustrated in this moment, but I am going to respond and go home and pack my lunch. Or I am going to go out with my friends, but I'm going to choose wisely. I'm going to order water instead of Coke. Instead of fries, I'm going to respond even though I had a really hard day, and I'm going to get a salad. I'm going to control my emotions. I'm going to realize that this seriously affects my health, because this conversation, while not taught to very many people, is a huge awareness and understanding of, yeah, emotions really run my day. Emotions affect my health. It actually affects stress. Stress affects your health. Like, if you want to lose weight this year, number one, we talked about life lesson number one the other day. We've got awareness. Number two, we have EQ. We're going to learn to respond instead of react. We're going to learn to collect the facts and respond appropriately. I'm going to give you actually a lot of life lessons like this that I have learned over the last 10 years because it's helped me become a better person. It's not here's a keto diet recipe for you. I hope you lose the weight. I can promise you that if you plug into the Keto Mom page and you let me help you and give you some very basic, like, aha moments, Those things are what is going to help you and propel you into the next year. It helped me in so many different areas, being a better mom and wife and business partner and running my business and running different things in our life, being a better friend. Like when I learned how to go zip my lips for 2.5 seconds to respond instead of react, hands down, helped relationships, helped me personally in so many different ways. So that is your life lesson of the day. EQ. I hope that it makes sense to you. There is a book called Emotional Quotient. You can go on any bookstore or Amazon. You can look it up and you can learn if you want to. But that, I actually have never read the book. I have the book on my bookshelf, but the only thing I needed to hear was somebody teach me, walk me through a situation, and all I knew was EQ, react, respond, collect the facts, and that's what we've done for 7 years. And I feel like it's been immensely helpful in our life. Now, also along with drinking ketones. Because actually our CEO is the one that taught me, and he's the one that taught me about ketones. So in general, here's the deal. If you need a foods list just to get started, I've talked about it many times, a very basic like how to, I get it. Post food in the comments and I will give that to you. If you want to follow along on our book club, so we're going to be going through this book starting January 1st, starting the new year of 2023. It's called Your Divine Fingerprint. So we'll start in January 1st in the mornings. So we'll be doing mindset in the mornings. We'll be giving life lessons morning and afternoons. We talk about keto tips and tricks all throughout the day and all afternoon into the evenings. You can you can go to ketomomsecrets.com and click on book club. And there's books we've done for almost 2 years that you can follow along and learn from. If you need some mom fuel, which I talk about every day, ketones, you can post trial in the comments because I send out trials every day for you to get a sample, give it a shot, see what you think. So, or intermittent fasting, which I talked about yesterday. So if you want to join me for a really cool beta test, prototype intermittent fasting kit to help you actually intermittent fast, which continue to watch my stories because I'm going to be talking more about that today. Post fasting in the comments if you want to. If you like to intermittent fast, or if you're like, I actually need to know more about this, I do need some help with not eating as much, post fasting below because we're going to talk about it. And listen, you might be like, I could never fast. It's too hard. Yeah, that was me too. I was the one that was like, no way. I'm not going to not fast. Are you kidding? I'm going to starve. And yet I've learned over the course of years with mindset, with drinking ketones, with our keto protein that doesn't break your fast, with certain things that can help you. I've created this eating window where I'm not overeating, but I'm fueling my body, not out of emotions, but out of necessity, right? Monday through Friday, a solid consistency throughout the week, and then drinking ketones on the weekend and maybe enjoying myself at a birthday party or a church function. I've created a lifestyle because oftentimes I tell people, listen, Keto Mom started because we were working on eating keto, and I actually don't believe the keto diet by itself for a majority of people actually works, nor do they need to do it. I feel like a majority of people need to be low carb. They need to work on their mindset. They need to get 10,000 steps in a day if they physically can, go for a walk. They need to understand, like, stop drinking so much sugar and drink some ketones. They need a couple simple tools to start their diet that they think that turns into a lifestyle over time because they've realized the power of food and making better choices and fueling their body right and understanding that mindset is so important. That's what this Keto Mom page is about. So thank you for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to chatting with so many of you. I'll send you a message if you ask questions below. If you commented trial down below or fasting down below or food, you will get a message from me. Have a wonderful day, and I'll